Howdy folks, Little John out in the brewery on a Thursday afternoon after work. About to do a couple of tasters on a few recent beers and on something that's been sitting around for quite a while. So what I've got today is the Loaded Dog Lager, which so you'll know, if anyone who follows the channel knows is my yearly lager, which I do for summer, knock out in the middle of winter. So we're doing, I tried to do a taste test on this last week. It's been in the bottle 21st of June it was bottled, so it's just over a month in the bottle. I tried a tester on it last week, and the bottle I cracked was a twist top, and it had it wasn't gassed up much. Now, I don't know whether that's just simply because it is winter and it's a bit cooler. When the garage had only been sitting on sort of 16 to 18 for the last few weeks. It's dropped off a degree or two on average. So I don't know if that was to do with it or whether the twist top just hadn't stood properly. But I've let it go, so I've let it go another week. I'll pop the bottle in. Actually, it was only last night because I was planning on doing this tomorrow, but I'm getting ahead of the game. So it's been a little bit longer now. So we'll see how we go. The other bottle I want to crack out, and I don't have a lot of hope of this being carved up, is this fella, which is the corn beer, which was the batch I did after that, and it's only been in bottles. Where's the bottling date? 7th. So what's the bloody date today? Crikey. 25th. So it's 18 days. So again, given that this other bottle from last week wasn't too carved, I'm not expecting it to be too much, but you know, I'm just keen to have a bit of a taste of it, so we'll see how we go. And the third thing I'm going to have a little bit of a taste on while I'm here is the Mead. Now, it's been, I can't even remember how long it's been since the Mead was done. I know from the label here that it was filtered back in April, and I'm pretty sure at that point it was already about bloody 6 months old, I believe. I don't think I've got it here in my book. No, I don't, so I have to go back and look at the actual video to get a date on that. So I will get the date, and I'll stick the date in the comments. I'll also put a link up to the original video, so we can get a bit of a look at how old it is. But I do know I didn't do it that long after the son's wedding, which was in September. It was probably, like, it was October, probably around somewhere around November, I think, that I actually originally fermented it. So it's been around for 7, 8, sort of 9 months now, so it's getting a little bit of age on it. So we'll see how that goes as well. So we'll get some pouring on and see how these are cracking. Okay, that's the Loaded Dog. It's a little bit light on fizz too, so I dare say the carbonation really hasn't come up on these yet. They could probably, I mean, I said, Gibbs told me they probably need another couple of weeks to really get going. It's got more than it did last week. There's some gas there. It's poured a bit ahead, so it's all good. Get a bit of a look. Like I said, this is a beer I normally let sit for, at least 3 months before I drink. So, corn beer. There's only a tiny little bit of fizz there as well. So I don't expect this to be very carbonated, and it certainly isn't. There's a little bit of carbonation there, but not a lot. It's nice how it be. And a little bit of the Mead, which is just in the big bottle, so let's grab a couple of spoons of this just to be able to taste it. We'll do the job there. Lid's turned inside out at some point. Let's see. Anyway, righto. So I'm going to start with the loaded dog. This is the one I want to taste more specifically than anything else at the moment. So I said she was not real gas. There's a reasonable carb. I'm just going to pick up. I've got some new lights in here. They're a bit brighter than the old ones, but they're still not positioned in the best place. But so I don't know how well that's going to come up. It's got a little bit of chill haze. It never really worries me. Well, that's its usual self. I didn't do a lot of variation this year. 79% Pilsner, 13% Munich, and the balance around 8% Carahel. If anything, straight off the top, you're picking the Munich's noticeable in the grain. There's a little bit of sort of honey sweetness. There's just a little bit of graininess there, not a lot. This is very young, and it's certainly a beer that benefits immensely from that good time lagering. The bitterness levels probably not as snappy as I would like, but again that does come as it ages a little bit. As that sweetness and the graininess settles, the snappiness comes up. And the Enigma at 5 minutes. Now the last season I did the Enigma as well, and it had honey notes as well. So I'm thinking there's probably an amount coming from the Enigma as well, that little bit of extra sweetness, because that sweetness certainly hasn't been there in the brew when it's been fully prior to Ringwood. But I'm not exactly sure which way that is coming from. But other than that, no, I mean that's drinking nice. There's a nice level of bitterness all around the mouth. There's nothing snappy. It doesn't bang at you straight away. It works its way around. It starts down the middle of the tongue, it spreads and comes around. So the bitterness is there, and as it works its way around, the earthiness and that weird spice from the prior to Ringwood becomes noticeable. There's definitely a touch of sweetness there, which I'd probably rather wasn't there. But I said I think it will go. Going back to the video, I used to use a Y yeast Danish lager yeast, which was my preferred yeast for this brew. On the first brew that I brewed it with, 3470, I found a much nicer result with the Danish. Y yeast stopped the Danish about 2 years ago. I wasn't aware that I was stopping it and didn't get a chance, and hadn't banked any of the yeast. It was at the time when I wasn't really yeast banking exactly. I'd sort of given up on it. So I went to the White Labs Copenhagen lager last year, which I was happy with. This year I couldn't get it. I ended up going with Rocky Mountain Lager, Y yeast from the private collection. So there's going to be a little bit of variance there as well from that. And it has finished probably a touch higher on the gravity than it normally would. 1040 down to 1012. I'm pretty sure 1012 was the bottling gravity. Yeah. Where the Danish was finishing more, you know, it would have been more around that 111, 110 mark. It was getting 75% attenuation, where we've only got about 71 out of the Rocky Mountain. So it's leaving a little bit more residual behind. But it's nice. There's nothing standing out. No, the sweetness is there, but there's enough little bit. Yeah, there's enough bitterness to ride with it. There's enough hop flavour to not really go, oh, there's some fruit, or there's dank or pine. Or, you're not picking up really any specific notes. As I said, apart from maybe that tiny honey taste, if that is coming from the hop. Definitely going to clear. It's holding a reasonable head for a beer, which I'm pretty confident it's not as carbon as well as it's going to be. There's a little bit of lacing starting to develop. As I said, yeah, last Friday when I cracked one of these, I think it was Friday, it didn't have any head and hardly any carbs, so it's definitely improving. So I think 2 more weeks the carbonation should get to where it's meant to be. 3 months it's going to be much different. So again, I'm happy with the loaded dog. And like I said, I will do a follow-up on this. I'm going to let it sit now for a while, and we'll do some follow-ups as it gets a bit older to see how it really goes. And see how I go. Like I said, my thought at the moment is that probably a bit too much Munich, and the Enigma I think can probably go. I like the Enigma hop. It's a nice hop, but I think it's a little bit doesn't really work in this beer. I wasn't super happy with last year's brew. Definitely not as good as it's been previously, and I think that's probably the thing that sticks with it and stays the same over the two. So anyway, that's it. So let's move on to this corn beer quickly. Now, as I said, this is people hear corn beer, straight away they think, Corona, Mexican beers. But the reality is, a Mexican beer, Corona and whatnot, are still a barley-focused beer. Barley is the main ingredient. They do have a higher proportion of corn than most other brews, but they certainly can't be called a corn beer. Now, I got the idea for this beer, and I'll look up, go back and look at the brew venture, and I'll talk about the idea. It came from tasting a wash for bourbon, which is mainly corn, and thinking, can we make a beer out of that? So I have gone for we were at 60% corn, 40% Marisota, with Gallina for bittering and a late 5-minute addition for a bit of flavour. So it was lightly bittered. Obviously it's you can see, it's a very light beer. It's got hardly any colour. It's come out at it's 4.4% in the bottle with carbonation, so it's only about 3.9% straight up. So I didn't want to get it too far. So it went 1046 to 1015, so it surprised me actually how high it stayed. But that's where it's finished. Brewed with US-05, and I'm pretty sure it just sat on the bench here in the garage. There's no mention of ambient in the garage, so it sat around 17 to 19 degrees. Finished in the fridge at 20 for a few days. Got dropped to 12, but never got cold crashed. I don't know how well that's picking up, but That's a bloody clear beer for something that's never been cold crashed. So okay, there's practically no carbonation. It's almost like drinking bloody, like a light white wine. But even this and that, it's I think that's going to be quite tasty. Yeah, look. When I say it's tasty, I mean it's not packed full of flavour, but at the same token, it's got a lot more flavour there than I was expecting. Yeah, it does taste like Mexican lager. Yeah, cerveza to some degree. They have high corn. This has obviously got more corn, and so it's in that sort of ballpark. But yeah, I really think once this is carved up properly, I think that's going to be quite a refreshing, hot summer's day beer, and that's what it's designed. I mean, it's like any Mexican lager, it's designed to be drank in very hot conditions. It's definitely not a winter beer, so I think given that that's its target and that's what it was intended for, I think it's going to do that job really nicely. And again, so I'm really looking forward to these two beers having a couple of months to just age, settle, carb up properly, and I think they're both going to be very nice summer drinkers. That surprises me a little bit, the flavour on that. But before we move, I will say, so as far as I can see at the moment, I'm going to rate both of those as successes. Exactly how successful, time will tell. Now, the Mead. Oh, Jesus. Oh, geez, that smells good. Now, that's Mead. Honey wine. Viking wine. That's not the Vikings used to drink. Honey wine. Or essentially honey wine. Fermented honey. This guy had a lot of orange and cinnamon, vanilla, a few other things. That's it. Okay. The link's up there to go back and have a look at, follow the process. It is a lengthy process, and I knew going in it would be. My first mead failed, so now this, and again, I haven't got my numbers on hand. I'm not sure exactly. Well, it won't be in there because it's been done since then. Again, I'll put in the notes. I'll put what the alcohol is. It's crystal clear. I mean, you can read your future through that. Now, I'm not a mead expert by any stretch of the imagination. You couldn't stretch anyone's imagination to get me to be a mead, even someone with very limited mead knowledge. I've tasted probably 3 meads in my entire life. Now let's say 4. So my expansive understanding is not very expansive. That's unusual. That's an unusual flavour. It's quite light on the mouth. It's not quite watery, but it is very, very light. There's no real honey flavour. You sort of get this. You get the honey and the oranges and stuff on the nose, but you're not really getting it in the flavour. There's not a lot of flavour there. There's some, but not a lot. It's not, certainly not offensive in any way. I've had meads that were quite sweet, reasonably sweet. And in all honesty, I think what they do is they're back sweetening, from what I've read. So, and sometimes they'll even add a tiny bit of carbonation. And I think if I was to take this, and this is sort of part of the plan, I've got a bottle there still, which I'm going to give to the daughter-in-law's father, who gave me the honey that I've brewed this with. I'm going to give him a bottle, and I'm just going to keep it still like this. I want to bottle up a couple of bottles. I've got about 2 litres there, so probably, yeah, maybe 5 bottles, 5 stubbies. And I want to put just a little bit of honey back into them, and maybe just a touch of orange, just to see if I can bring up that little bit of sweetness, and maybe get a little bit of carbonation in the process. Don't know how much yeast is left in this after this amount of time, so it may not carbonate at all, in which case we'll just get a little bit of that residual sweetness. I don't think there's enough yeast to eat any, especially all of what gets in there, so I think there will be some left over. But that's not, it's not unpleasant in any way. It's drinkable. I'm not a white wine drinker, so I think from that point of view it's sort of like, I'm a bit, yeah, take it or leave it, not really fussed really. But I think if you're a white wine drinker, you don't enjoy a white wine, that Mead's going to be right up your alley. So again, I think at this point, happy with how it's come out. It's like it's definitely done the job, and I can't imagine that really, given what is in the Mead, that it could taste really that much different to what it does. So I'll do just a little bit of playing around. I've got 2 of these 2 litre bottles, so I've got a whack there to play around with. So I'll play around with a little bit of stuff in the bottles now and see how that turns out. Reporting that down the track as well. So Thursday afternoon, leading into the weekend, and Little John's like, right now I'm a happy boy. 3 brews, I'm happy with all 3 of them. 2 are quite experimental, and they've worked, which is always a good thing. Always happy when an experiment works. And yeah, tried and true is doing what tried and true does. Yeah, no one's going to complain if you hand them that. I've never actually given out this recipe. I give out recipes that are similar and based on the same sort of factors. I just rattled off percentages of grain, which is as close as I've ever gone to rattling out this recipe. But following that, get you a bloody good Australian style lager, which your mega school mates are going to bloody drink till the cows come home. Yeah, so if you've got family and friends that give you some niggling and some ribbon because your home brew's no bloody good, or it doesn't taste like, you know, the shit they're used to getting in bottles, bang a batch of that up, that sort of thing, and see how they go with that. That's not bad. Anyway, I'm done. If you got any comments, any questions, stick them down the bottom as always. If you haven't subscribed to Little John, hit the button down there in the corner. Come along with us. See some different beers, different stuff we do, experiments, Mead. Playing around with different styles, because that's what we do on Little John's. It's not just the simple everyday stuff. So, till I see you again, we brewing beer, we talking beer, or we drinking beer. Good brewing.